I thought, well, guys, if I'm writing the next chessable course on the Dutch Leningrad, so what do you think I'm supposed to play? I feel I'm like obliged to play the Dutch Leningrad everywhere. You know, I will spoiler you that this game essentially can be titled as The Great Escape. I mean, Great Escape from Alcatraz, if you will. There's going to be a drama. There's going to be fun moments. Educational stuff as well. So it's going to be very interesting. Anyway, so I'm thinking, what should I play against this guy? And I know him very well. So I'm thinking, whatever, f5. So be it. So be it. Let's play the Dutch Leningrad. And I was expecting he's going to play something like bishop g5 with the idea to, after knight f6, hit on f6. And actually, bishop g5 is really poisonous variation. And I recently already played it against Maxim Rotstein in the Czech Extraliga. Yeah, it was really bold, I know. It was really bold, but I got a great position after the opening. And I sort of had a read in my opponent's body language that I should play against him the Dutch defense. There was something, I don't know, difficult to describe. And I thought I'm going to play the Dutch defense. Same here. So I'm perfectly happy. My opponent played knight f3, knight f6, c4, g6, and b4. Look at that. Look at that. So this is really interesting setup. So he aggressively gains space at the queen side to play bishop b2. I decided not to react with anything spectacular, just play normal stuff, bishop g7. There's some other options as well. So I play bishop g7, bishop b2, castles. And now he has to choose where to put the bishop, g3 or e3. He played e3. I played e6 to hit the pawn on e7 with a queen e7 on b4. Bishop e2, queen e7, queen b3. Not really sure if this is anti-Dutch. This is some sort of a classical Dutch, I guess. Because the great world champion Tigran Petrosian once said, if your opponent is playing the Dutch defense, what should you do? Do not stop him. And after queen b3, I misevaluate my position. I mean, the problem, I have no experience in this line. I mean, I knew some ideas. I knew I want to play b6, bishop b7, because the bishop is not on g2. d6, knight e7, knight e4, g6, g5, g4, etc. So I knew this, of course. But the question is, what is the right order of the moves? And I was thinking maybe a5 was the move to play. And Volodin after the game said, yeah, he was really not happy about seeing a5. And he thought even including b takes on a5 to open up the queen side. Because essentially it's a fight of styles, fight of plans. I'm supposed to play at a king side, right? Put the bishop on b7. Put knight e4, g5, g4, rook f6, rook h6, something like that. I'm supposed to checkmate. White is supposed to use his pawn advantage at a queen side. And that's why something like b takes on a5, it might seem ugly to you. But actually he's opening up the queen side. And now after b5, here d6, knight e7, b6, bishop e7. I think this was the best bet. And again, here, many continuations for white. Maybe something like rook e1, g5, f3, and who knows? Yeah, I mean, who knows how to value this? Stockfish, of course, is silly as usual. Stockfish says that white is always better. But you know, one thing I can tell you for sure, having been at professional chess for so long, it doesn't matter at what level you're playing. As long as you have the initiative and attacking the king, you can play it. So I would definitely play this for black. King h8, King h8, rook g8, g4, maybe rook e8, e5. And now exactly what white is doing at the queen side. Yeah, of course he has those menacing pawns, but what's he doing really? e4, play e4 into attack. I could take and play e5, get access to the c5 square. So it's not really so easy. So engine here says 0.4, 0.5 for white, but black is very easy to play. That's why, dear viewers, what I'm saying, those of you who are working with engines, don't become engine slaves. Yeah, think. I mean, if you have a direct attack, very easy plan, it doesn't matter what engine is saying. So, yeah, but what happened here? So I was looking at this position and wondering, what should I do? I decided not to touch the queen side. I was not sure about a5, but I was thinking about b6, castles, bishop b7, and I was not sure if I like this. If I play something like d6, a5. So what's happening here? Let's say knight e7, a6. Do I go back? Although I'm blocking the queen side, right? Knight e4, knight f6, bishop d7, knight g4, g5, g4, etc. Would be really interesting. And I started to have some doubts about this position. I don't know. It looks visually ugly. But then again, he can't easily open the queen side, can he now? Okay, maybe c5. If he does not open the queen side, the king side belongs to me. That's the logic, right? I don't know. So, I was also not sure during the game, so I played d6. I played knight e4, which is not really great, but I knew the idea from other Dutch defense lines, which I'm writing now for this upcoming chessable course. I want to remove pair of knights, put the other knight on b7 and play e5. Probably, or maybe g5, g4. Now that the knight on f6 is not blocking the view of the queen. He played knight c3, I took on c3, I played knight e7, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm probably slightly worse, but I'm gonna play b6, bishop b7, knight f6, and I'm doing great. Yeah, he played c5, and the more I started to look at this position, I realized, what kind of garbage did I get into? Because I just don't like this position anymore. Because if I play b6, I'm playing into opening the position. For example, he can take stakes, play b5, bishop b4, a4, a5. Where's my attack? Maybe I should have went for this anyway. Can I play f4? You mean here? I mean, without development, probably not a good idea. I mean, f4 somewhere is an idea, but I need to develop my pieces. Hello, math guy. Twitch, how are you doing? Yeah, now after c5, I realized I'm in trouble. Because if I play king h8 and the idea to play e5, let's say a4, e5, take stakes, take stakes. How is this a great position? Because my attack is not there, I'm underdeveloped at the queen side, and if I play something like e4, white is just dominating things at the queen side. Okay, maybe I somehow will survive, but I don't like this. And this basically breaks a rule. This breaks a rule. When you are underdeveloped, you should keep things closed. Or when you are better developed, there's a rule. You should open the position. And I'm breaking this rule, right? So I decided, okay, fine, it's chill, everything is still good. I play knight f6 to control the d5 square. He played rook c1. I thought this was pretty weird. I expected a4. You know, gain space. Rook c1. Okay, still normal move. I play bishop d7, b5. My bishop c6 is not happening. And about here, my mood plummeted dramatically. Because I can't take the pawn on c5. There's bishop f6. Sorry, pardon for the arrow. My queen on c5 is under attack. I was thinking about knight e4 and then take on c5 with the idea that I lock his bishop, I play c6, and then play something like king h8, g5, g4, e5, bishop e8, whatever. You know, the position is locked, the bishop on b4 is silly. If Bartosz was there, he would scold me for pushing f pawn. I trust the Dutch defense, but you can't afford to make mistakes. Yeah, you can't afford. I mean, this game just proves it. You make one mistake, you get in trouble. You have to know it really well. But I mean, here I realize he just takes with the bishop. I mean, this is not fun. Not fun at all. Rook c1, knight e5, bishop f3. Yuck. You know, I hate this position, absolutely. Even though I have two bishops, my position is just terrible. I can't do this. So I was looking at all of these options. I just could not understand. How should I play? Should I play knight e5? Should I play knight e4? Should I play d-takes on c5? Should I play rook e8? Should I play a6? I don't know. You know? And this is usually a very dangerous ground for bad things to happen, because very often mistakes come in pairs. You just make the first mistake, you get a, not a great position. There is a very good chance you're going to make the next mistake right here. Right here. I mean, I know this, but I still don't know where's the good move, because maybe there's no good move at all. Maybe I should have played a6. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I should have played a6. a6, a4, I'm not sure what changes. So I had to, I realized I had to complicate the game. And I made a very ugly looking move, which I'm ashamed of. I played d-takes on c5. I hate this move, I know, but I did not like anything better. Yeah, knight e4, bishop b4. Yes, Kasper, do you enjoy this? I mean, come on, White is going to torture you here for a million moves. a4, rook d1, there's no kings at attack. It's just, Jesus Christ, how did I get here? So I decided, okay, whatever. I'm going to take on c5 and play c6. So I thought, okay, listen, okay, chill. Everything is good. I know I'm worse. I know it. But at least I might try to complicate the game, force him to make big decisions. For example, if you protect this pawn, you play something like a4, I play rook c8, maybe I play knight e4, hit the pawn, make him worry about c-takes ideas, get the pawn on c5. And if he plays bishop e5, which he did, obviously, hitting with a bishop d6 threat, I thought rook c8, it looks pretty bad, but at least after bishop d6, queen e8, there are some multiple threats. So let me show you what I was thinking about. I was thinking, what if he plays a4? I mean, protects the pawn, right? I take it. I play knight e4. So this was what I was, looking for. Hit the bishop, hit the pawn. He plays rook d1, I take on d6. If he takes with a c pawn, I control the e5 square. Okay, I'm worse probably, but maybe my bishop somehow can build a fortress, and then in the long run, I was still thinking about the win, by the way. Maybe I can overtake the game. If he takes with the rook, I have bishop f8. Hitting the rook, hitting the pawn. Of course I sense it, that there's definitely some ideas with rook d7. Rook d7, queen d7, bishop c4, rook e8, knight g5. But I thought, okay, even if we get here, and there's some very big attack, I can always sacrifice an exchange, and he still needs to make this very big decision. Is this even working, I was not really sure, like, takes it here, and is this even working at all? Knight f7, king g7, there's queen f6, etc. From afar, it could be very tricky. If of course, that the engine says this is almost close to winning for white. okay, then you have this major information, but you know, if there's no follow-up, it's very difficult to go here. And I was kind of hoping for this. I was hoping for this idea that he's gonna be confused, that he's gonna be worried about the pawn on b5. He's gonna maybe play something like b6, you know, which is something I was seriously considering. A takes, hits the pawn on a2, c takes on b6, and something like, I don't know, knight e4. And yeah, I'm suffering here, but you know, I thought I have chances. And this is when he played knight e5. And I realized, oh Jesus, this is so bad. I mean, I can't even carry out all my ideas. I mean, knight e5 is such an obvious move. He doesn't play a4 at all, he just plays knight e5. And now, I thought about knight e4, going for the same idea, try to confuse the opponent. I mean, he just takes on d7, yeah? Knight e2 fork doesn't work. The knight is stranded on f1. I mean, how is this something you can enjoy? I can get my opposite color bishops and probably resign a couple of moves later. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I mean, after knight e5, I thought, this is officially the worst game I have played lately. I don't recall myself playing so badly. And I'm thinking, okay, listen. Okay, probably I'm already lost. But one thing I have learned in my career, the players present you chances. So, imagine yourself you're playing against Magnus Carlsen and he gets against you this position. Just resign, you know, chill, there's no chances for you. You're gone. Imagine this, you're playing this against 26-50, like Kasper. So you're playing this position against Kasper. Maybe you get half a chance, you know, half a chance. There's going to be inaccuracy somewhere. Okay, there is of course very good chance that he's going to play the perfect game and you're going to be outplayed, you know, mercilessly. But you still might get half a chance. And when you're playing, let's say, somebody below 2500, very often I've noticed that even in very good positions, they tend to misplay something. And I try to convince myself that I will still have the chance to save this. I need to remain positive and just look for the moment. So I take on b5. Why isn't the pawn on f7? I don't know. Knight e7, that was the big idea. Queen d7, bishop b5, and here. Now, I know I'm close to lost. And I know, of course, he's going to play bishop c4, hitting the pawn on e6. That being said, I also saw c6, because after bishop c6, the rook on a8 is trapped. Knight e5, he just retreats, hitting the pawn on b7. I still cannot take on c6, I play b6, and now something like rook d1 and bishop g3. This is a position which is going to collapse. It's not going to hold. He has two bishops, the pawn on c6, weakness on e6. All of this, unfortunately, spells doom for black. But he didn't play this. He played bishop c4, which is a very logical move. And now after rook e8, he started to think. A long think. And I thought I might have a chance here. Because if he plays rook b1, the obvious move, hitting the pawn on b6. Hello, noob. I thought I'm going to play b6. If he takes it, I play knight e4. I know it looks pretty bad, but the point is, there's some tricks. I'm hitting the bishop here, I'm hitting some forks, hitting here. And if he plays bishop b4, there are some unexpected resources. Like attacking this queen many times. Like this. If he takes on e6, I take on c4. Surprise! And actually, this is like almost a draw. Rook a6, rook b8, attacking the queen, and he can't really escape. There's the fork ideas, etc. And I was hoping, you know, that there's going to be something like this, although I had a feeling it's probably borderline losing. He saw this. He kind of calculated this and played f3. Stopping knight e4 and thinking about e4 himself. I mean, what can I do? I played rook c8. I just need a couple of moves. I need to play bishop f8, kill the bishop, knight e7, knight c5. He played rook d1. He was not sure should he play e4 or not. e4, very logical move. Threading to open up the e-file, play rook e1, hit the pawn on e6. Okay, he played rook d1, bishop f8, rook b1, now he plays rook b1, and knight e7. And I'm looking at this position, I'm starting to get serious hopes that I'm surviving this. Because he can't win the pawn on b7. If he plays queen b7, I play knight c5. If he takes on f7, there is no check on b7, the knight protects it. If he takes on c5, I take with the bishop, rook e7, I'm holding. What else? Right? And he played bishop b5, and oh my goodness, you know, I missed here such a resource. So I'm thinking, I should play rook d8. The first move, I should play rook d8. Renewing the threat of knight c5. If he takes on d7, if he takes on f8, I'm worse. But I'm holding. And probably this is probably a draw. Probably. But there's one problem. Hello, dear viewers. There's one problem. He plays c6. If I take on d6, he takes on d7. Intermezzo, hitting my rook. If I take on c6, he plays bishop a6. If I take on d6, he takes on c8. So I'm thinking rook a8 and bishop b7. There's no rook b8. Bishop b8, the queen retreats, and I'm just down an exchange. And I did not see from afar. I can take on d6, enabling the knight c5 threat. Knight c5. And somehow, I'm winning the bishop on a8. You know, I just could not imagine this. That here, after knight c5, there is no proper retreat for the queen. Because I'm still playing queen c7, I'm still playing rook a8, and he can't exploit this. There's no moves. When I saw this, with engine analysis, I was like, unbelievable, unbelievable, because this is against any logic. It never works like this, never. You know? There's also, of course, rook d6 to calculate queen b8, insane. So I did not see this. I mean, there's like million moves, queen c3, queen c2, queen b2, for example, queen b2, you can't take on a8, there's rook d6, queen c7, and you have to, you know, see everything from afar, that there's no follow-up, like queen d4, hitting the bishop, you take on h2, and apparently there's no move. Wow. But you know, my opponent didn't even see the c6 move at all. That's why I didn't play this. So I took on d6 first, with the idea that if he takes with a rook, I play, what was it? Yeah, here. He takes it here, I take it here. He takes it here, I take it here. He takes it here, I take it here. And I thought this is probably a draw. Probably. I'm not really sure. My king is cut off, right? Not really sure, but so is his king as well. Maybe it's not a draw. Yeah, maybe it's not a draw, but it's the best I can do. And if he plays c takes on d6, which is a very logical move, you create a passed pawn which is protected by the rook and hit by the pushed by the bishop. I mean, this can easily go either way, right? Because if I play knight c5 b6, this might be some sort of a fortress. Hello, Virus Shidal. Hello. Not easy for white. But of course he found the best move, bishop d7. Queen d7. Rook d6. And I know this is borderline drawing somewhere because I don't believe this is losing anymore. And I'm thinking about queen c7. The point is queen b7, I hit the pawn on c5 and the pawn on e3. So he can't really exploit the back rank. Yeah. I'm also threatening with something. So he can't really do this. And if he takes on e6, takes, king g7. I want to play rook d8 next. I'm down a pawn, and after h4 probably I have to lead a very difficult defense. But I didn't like rook d1. Probably this was again sloppy calculation. But somehow I convinced myself there's probably a mate. Except there's no mate. Yeah, and black is actually holding. So that's the reason why I didn't go here. And instead, I believed that queen e7 is the way to go. Which is wrong. Queen b7, rook c7. And now, there's some incredible lines. So my idea, for example, after queen b4, is to play rook c8, hit the pawn. If he plays rook c1, threaten to take it, rook c1 and rook d1. Yeah, so I'm threatening to give a check, rook d2 or rook d8, collect this pawn. Probably I'm losing like one pawn in the process. And I thought I have decent chances. And also, to hold obviously. And also I thought for white, it's difficult to go rook c1, especially if you see queen takes on d6. And there was a time trouble as well, you know. I think I have to mention this. But you know what we discovered in the post-game analysis? Hey, James Blunder, how are you doing? Wow, we have a very qualified viewers. That's Badur Jababa, Kasper Pieroin. Very strong players here. One of those moments when the dear viewers are stronger than me. Now look at this idea. He had to play queen b5. The best move. I go here. He goes here. Ah, you just logged in, yeah? Alright. How are you doing, Badur? I take on d6. Here, here, here. Here. Here, here, here. You know. And you know, here, Engine gives some insane lines. And look at this. You're gonna love this. Check. Oh, wait, what was it? Check. Here, 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 check. Here. Check here, check here. King f4, rook d6, king g5. And probably white is winning. Probably. And you're wondering, why do all of this? Why not king h6? And there's actual mating net. I mean, look at this. There's this idea. Why don't you play king h6? Yeah, I mean, automatically king h6. Here, here, here. White just dominates. Wow, this is really nice, right? I mean, white just dominates. e4, e5, e6, e7, e8. And this mate threat is always there. That's really nice. So this is one of those moments when the queen is dominating the two rooks. They're disconnected and I just can't stop this pawn. So So all of this happened after this insane line, queen b5, which we discovered in the post-game interview, not interview, but post-game analysis. But then again, queen b5 is not very logical, because you want to play queen d4 and queen d4, not queen b5. At least I thought so. Domination, yeah, wins the rook. So he played queen b4, rook c8, queen d4, which, you know, kind of makes sense because he's afraid to make this very big decision in time scramble, allowing queen d6. I took on c5. I mean, what can I do, right? I mean, what can I do? He's going to play rook c1. I can just resign. You know, what choice do I have? And e5. And this is the move, you know? This is a move that clearly unnerved my opponent because he was feeling like in control for most of the game. Okay, you know, maybe played some inaccurate moves here and there. But this e5, he got really nervous. I mean, he missed it. And now, the million-dollar question. How does white continue here? This requires some cool nerves and deep understanding of the game. And again, I think I have to mention the circumstances. This is a time scramble. I mean, my opponent has like, okay, not really like increment. He has about 5 minutes. 5 minutes and 9 moves to make. Thank you, Yuko, for the sub. I appreciate that. How are you doing? How do you play? Now, how many of you would take on e7, collect the extra pawn, and keep the black king cut off to the final rank in a time scramble to get an easier position? Is this not the most obvious choice? Enter the rook endgame. I understand it's a rook endgame, but the king is cut off. There's an extra pawn, and you have a lot of supposedly easy moves to make. On the other hand, and I think Kasper and Bahadur, they're gonna agree on this, you might play for the mate. Because in a time scramble, it's very difficult also to defend this. Queen a4 and pray. Yeah, queen a4 actually is a really nice move. Queen a4 works nicely. Also queen d1 is really good. You know, queen a4 or queen d1. Yeah, queen a4 maybe hits the pawn on a7 as well. But there's the idea queen b3 check, and you're gonna need this check. For example, queen g5, check this out. I'm hitting the pawn, I'm threatening rook c1, and again when you're playing in time scramble you see all of these ideas, you're not really sure, right? Alright, Yuko. In Loima, yeah? Alright, alright. But there's f4, check this out. f4, check, check. That would be it, yeah? Really nice. I mean, you can easily miss this from afar, right? Yeah, f4, great move. And I would totally play queen g5, you know, hitting the pawn. And I mean, what else? What else can I do? I need to generate threats. And after f4, yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, he just plays queen b3 or takes the pawn on a7. My king is cut off. So it would have been game over. So, I mean, he's in time scramble. And he's thinking, I can simplify the position, have an extra pawn, and easier to play position. So he takes on e7, and the engine marks it as a double question mark move. I take it, and I'm thinking, I can play rook c2, but probably because of the rook b8 threat, I can never put my two rooks on the second rank. So I desperately need to trade one pair of rooks. I need to trade it. Trade, here. And this is such a nasty move in time scramble. I mean, when I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, probably engine is gonna say that white needs to play king e3 to keep the king cut off. But if you play king e3, you are losing your entire kingdom, basically. My king is cut off, and this is why the white rook needs to remain on the 7th rank, and somehow with the d pawn, the king marching forward, white needs to put his trust in the d pawn, right? It makes sense. I think most of the experienced grandmasters will play king e3 without thinking. But the thing is, yeah, he played rook e2. But the thing is, it's not so easy, right? I take it. There's also king f8. I play rook g2, king f4, a5, a4, sacrifice the pawn, activate the king, and engine says this is a draw, actually. You know, there's very limited amount of material, but this would have been a very tricky endgame. Very tricky endgame to play in time scramble. Okay, this would have been move 42. And I need to activate my king, and that's why I give up the a pawn. Because, dear viewers, if you're wondering how to become better in endgames, there's the two basic rules you always have to follow. Active king and active rook. That's it. I mean, sometimes pawn don't matter. Active king, active rook. That's it. At all costs. Yeah, that's the point, right? I also was thinking that I would probably also play rook e2, especially Casper in the time scramble. And now after rook c3, how do you play, right? I cut off the king. I put my rook on a3, king f7. Also rook d3 is a threat. If you play rook d2, I play king f7, king d6, king d5, or king d6. How do you play? So he played king g3, I play here, he played here, I played here. Now what do? Rook b7, I'm gonna go rook a3, rook a2. You can have my pawn on h7. I need to have active king and active rook. This was a smart move. Rook d3, maybe rook a4, king e6, king d6, doesn't really change. And we just entered this endgame, which I know is a draw. I mean, it should be a draw, because these endgames, 3 pawns each at the king side, with an a pawn, you put the rook behind it. You can basically find in any self-respecting endgame book. Probably the most famous example I should bring is Mark Dvoretsky's endgame manual. And in those positions, the king is actually somewhere on e3. Yeah, there's something like f2, king e3, g3, and maybe h4. I don't remember. And there's some very, very tricky lines. But I figured that obviously with a king on g3, this should be so much better for me. 2 pawns versus 3 is a draw. His king can never leave. And the only thing I was thinking here is, what's the cleanest way to draw this? Check here, watch out for h5, so that the pawn on h6 is not under attack. Not really like it's a big threat, but I think it's better to keep an eye. And probably this was pretty clean, to play f4 and h5. Try to imprison the king, right? But I was not sure, you know, because it's very tricky to play these positions. Am I actually not allowing the king to escape? So he's gonna play rook a8, a5, a6, run with the king. Probably I need to eat a pawn in the process. He's gonna activate his rook in the meantime. Not obvious at all, right? So I'm thinking if I'm playing a 4, it's only when I'm absolutely sure the king is not getting out of this corner. So I decided to wait. And I was expecting he's going to put the rook at a8, play a5, a6, and now try to run here. And this is when I was thinking g5, aggressively advance those pawns, something like f4, king goes here, and if he activates the king, I was hoping... Oh wait, I'm actually losing here. Oh my goodness, I just realized I'm losing here. So I should be more careful. Yeah, you see, it's actually not so simple. So maybe g5 is a mistake. Maybe I should play h5 or f4, king f1, h5, he goes here. I could take it here, 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 and probably g5, h4 at the right moment saves the day. But again, I mean, it's not easy, yeah? So all of the easy rook endgame, all the easy rook endgames, they're actually pretty difficult here. And yeah, so he didn't play this. So I was waiting. And now the final nuance, he played h5, which is a smart idea. Because after g5, check here, a6, the king is gonna somehow be running around to help this pawn, and my king is cut off. I'm always losing 10 pieces because the pawn on h6 is the target. And the final trick happened here. G takes on h5, check, here, h4, here. And the question is, what's the cleanest way to draw this? So I'm thinking king h5 makes perfect sense to avoid a7 and checks, and this pawn promotes, but this feels much safer. So I'm going with the correct ordered moves, like here, because if I go king g7 here and here, I do not want to test this endgame, which I know it's a draw. I know it's a draw, obviously, but I've seen examples when in time scramble, people must play even this. And I think it would cost me definitely another 50 moves. Try to make a draw. Not as easy as with the pawn on g5, one pawn against two. This f-pawn can be really dangerous. That's why I figured it's all about the accurate move order. I start with king h7. If he goes here, I go back. And the pawn on a6 is under attack. So he has to go back. So I play king h7. If he plays f4, I always take on f4. This pawn is not advancing. Very tricky, yeah? So I go here. He plays a7. Now I go here. Why not king h5? Because I was not sure if the king belongs on h5. Maybe there's some freak exception. Maybe in some lines actually the king on h5 is not where it's supposed to be, because I have studied endgames with the king on h7, g7. I know this. I don't know what is with the king on h5. And now the key idea. The key idea, finally, f4. So I'm in sort of a zugzwang. And again, after king h7, he wants to go here, here, collect this pawn, play two pawns against one, and the key idea, h5. The idea is revealed. If he takes it and takes it, I don't need this pawn. So maybe there's some zugzwang ideas how he can win this pawn, but you can have it, you know, f4 here. This is a draw. That's why it pays off to study the endgames. With the f-pawn, this would be losing because the f-pawn advances forward, king f6, king f7, he gives me a check or plays rook h8, and this pawn always advances. With the g-pawn, this is a draw, with the pawn on a7. So that's why, about here, I was being very cautious how not to wind up in a position where he has this pawn. So, for example, if he somehow gets around and the pawn is on a7, he might set up all kinds of zugzwang positions. For example, let's say if I'm not accurate, this might be losing already. Yeah, I mean the king goes around, king goes around, king goes to e6, rook a6, f4. Some zugzwang positions. Maybe I sacrifice the pawn, play h5, h4. If I lose this pawn, he advances this pawn and ultimately wins. So that's why I guess after king goes here, I would play here, here. Actually, he should have tried this. He should have tried this. Oh. Here, here. Yeah, I guess he doesn't have these extra tempies. Maybe he can still play rook f8, rook f4, rook h4 at the right moment. Oh wait, I missed the move, yeah? Ah, wait, rook a1. I'm so sorry. I'm silly. I'm silly. Yes, 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 rook a1. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course. I mixed up because there were some very similar other lines. Very similar lines where he was somehow getting out, you know. And then with the pawn on a7, he gets the king on e6 and zugzwang positions. So I knew this should be an easy draw, but I was not, you know, entirely sure what's the most precise way to draw this. And ultimately, yeah, I was very happy to find this move h5. And he just played rook b8. And the final accuracy is after g3, I go here and I just wait. He waits, I wait. He defends the pawn with king g5, I go king g6, and actually for the first time in this game I have a mate threat. So that's why there's no progress, and even though I have weaker pawns, it's a draw. And the game was agreed to draw here. So, I mean, overall it was a very interesting theoretical endgame. Of high important theoretical value. I know I was lost, but if you look back at this game, basically my opponent made just one big mistake. One big mistake. Right here. You know, I'm not sure what I would have done if I was in a time scramble situation, in the feeling that the opponent is slowly escaping. I mean, queen d1 or queen a4, as Badur said, it does require quite a bit of understanding, right? Because you can't really blame sort of white for making the easy choice, taking the extra pawn with easy moves, and the king is cut off in a time scramble. It's an easy move. Yeah, but again, those rook endgames, there's a very good reason why they're tricky. So ultimately, I think I could indeed call this game the Great Escape. So I played the draw. So I think I need to make my improvements, some of my improvements to make this line a bit better. I had my lesson learned. We lost the match, unfortunately, 3 against 5, but it was fun.